Dale Finucane, 251 games, recently retired from head knocks. How's it all going? Has it sunk in yet? And who made the decision?
So, at the end of the day, we sort of went through a pretty strict process. So, from the Tigers game, I went and did some neuropsychological testing and saw a neurologist, and sort of eventually over the course of doing that and seeing another neurologist as well for another opinion, it was sort of, I sort of had to medically retire based on the advice that I got. And going through that process as well, I sought advice from the RLPA as well in terms of, what it looked like if I went against that advice. And I think it just become, in terms of legalities and things like that, it was just impossible to do. So, it was a 3-week process and we got there in the end.
Are you happy it wasn't your decision? Because I'd imagine you wouldn't have.
Yeah.
People like you, it has to be taken out of your hands.
Yeah, and honestly, that's what I was looking for. I spoke to a number of past players, guys who'd had concussions, guys who've retired from it, current players who've had them but that are still playing on. As I said, I spoke to the lawyers at the RLPA. I got the medical advice from neurologists. I don't think I just wanted to feel that if I look back in a year's time that I had no regrets about having a conversation with anyone that could have helped impact my decision, and I needed it to be taken out of my hands at the end of the day.
I'm thinking probably the most important conversation and opinion that you needed to consider was your family, and in particular your wife Maddie. How was that conversation sitting down at home?
Yeah, and it was tough, and the way that I sort of spoke about the process was I got that concussion on the Thursday, and it wasn't until the next day that I spoke to Maddie, and I knew obviously that you go through an 11-day protocol process, and for me I was just going back to that process and realising that in 2 weeks' time I was going to be able to play that game. And Maddie was quite forward with saying that I needed to get a lot of those testing done and get some MRI testing, neuropsych testing, and just go through a bit more of a stringent process than what we'd done in the past. And as I said, obviously the findings from that showed that I should not return to play again. And a really tough conversation to have. And I guess at the beginning, for me, not really thinking that it was something that would come to fruition. And the closer that it got towards the end, I realised that it's probably the end.
Now, Wally Lewis has been public recently about receiving head knocks, CTE and dementia. Do you have a fear of that being part of your life? Well,
that was obviously the reason around, there's so limited knowledge, I guess, that they actually have that's definitive on concussions and CTE. So it's really just about mitigating all the risks that you can. And for me, obviously trying to minimise those, neurodegenerative issues for later in life is the reason, obviously, for the earlier retirement. But, it's so unknown, but obviously just trying to protect myself against that.
What about retirement? Does it scare you?
I'm actually, because I've had a couple of weeks to sort of get a grasp on what it would potentially look like, and, I'm going to be staying around at the club in some capacity. So, the silver lining to it all is the fact that it probably gives me a little bit of time to help transition into what comes next after Rugby League. So, I'm really looking forward to helping the team out and doing what I can.
Well, what's next? Have you got an
idea?
Have
to find something, because I know how intense you are.
Mr. Intensive. That was the next one.
Maddie might change her opinion, actually. She might send you back into play.
Yeah. That's the thing, Maddie.
You want to work around strength and conditioning at a club?
I really do enjoy that side of things. Throughout the course of my career, I was able to finish a bachelor degree that's sort of in that area, and something I'd be
so you've studied for that?
I've done a bit of study. Mind you, I studied over 8 years to do a 3-year degree, but I'll have to do a refresher course.
There was a bloke at Canterbury, and I thought you'd never leave Canterbury. When I used to watch you play there, Josh Jackson, and very similar sort of character bloke, really wholehearted. Have you spoke to him since you retired? I know you were pretty good mates at the time.
Yeah, we've messaged since, and we've been meaning to catch up actually for the last sort of 6 months. It's just been hard because obviously Josh is in his new role at the Dogs, and he was finding his feet as well, and I think he was doing a bit of strength conditioning, and now he's doing the 21 side. So, obviously I'm going to have a bit more time now to, catch up and see what life after football entails.
Because Gus has got a huge rap on Josh Jackson.
Yeah.
He's saying he's doing an amazing job. He reckons he'll be an NRL coach one day.
Yeah, well, he was involved in the leadership group when I was there at such a young age. I left the Dogs when I was 23 years old, and Josh was already involved in the leadership group there, and the calibre of players that they had there, and he's certainly going to do a good job in the coaching.
Canterbury, Melbourne, and now the Sharks. Your 3 coaches, Des, Craig Bellamy, Fitzy, a little bit on each.
Yeah, so it's pretty well documented, obviously, with Des Hasler and with Craig Bellamy, as you will know, Bill, in terms of how animated they can be at times. But, in saying that, they truly care about the person first. And, having spent 7 years under Craig Bellamy, that was probably, the thing that he did do so well was he could separate football and the person. And obviously Craig Fitzgibbon, and I guess his demeanour is probably a little bit different to those guys in terms of a little bit calmer, and you probably know this as well, Freddie, but it's almost like a bit of a disappointed dad that you don't want to upset because of the way that he is.
Did you enjoy being Craig Bellamy's favourite? Because you were, absolutely, and it wasn't even a secret.
Brian Hinchcliffe, was he a favourite?
Yeah, he was a favourite.
Dallas Johnson.
Matt King now. Oh, not Matt King.
There's a certain type of player. Josh King. Yeah.
Yeah, tell us about the Storm, being down at the Storm, because you are a Melbourne Storm player. But the words that Craig Bellamy described you when you finished were just amazing.
Yeah, so I was actually a chance of going down to Melbourne at the end of my 20s in 2011. Obviously speaking with Frank Panisi and Craig Bellamy at the time, and I was actually still contracted at Canterbury for 2 years when I left, and obviously that opportunity came up to go down there, and really glad that I did, because obviously we had a lot of success down there, 2 premierships, and obviously I played some of the best football down there. And I guess the relationships, talk about Craig Bellamy and obviously with Bill and a number of other guys that I'm lifelong friends with down there. So I've thoroughly enjoyed my time at the Storm.
What advice do you give to a kid now? We've watched you firsthand. You've seen him in camps. Your professionalism. What's your mindset as you drive to training, as you drive to a game, whatever it is to do with the club? What are you thinking about, and how could you help a young kid that goes, well, you know what, I'm going to need to be professional to make this? What do you say?
Yeah, it's hard because I've been so regimented, I guess, for such a long period of time, and that's obviously whether that changes. I don't think it's going to be something that changes, because I feel like it's a personality thing. But for me, I always just felt like giving 100% just gave me confidence, and the more that I did that, the more that I felt comfortable. And some guys, I guess, at training, they can sort of half-ass it a little bit and still really turn up on game day, whereas I just felt like that didn't give me enough confidence to go into a game where I wasn't prepared enough. So it was all around preparation for me, whether it was with my body, particularly with my body at the back end, because, I had probably a decent amount of injuries, I guess, over the last 3 years of my time at the Sharks. But I guess I just didn't want to leave any stone unturned.
Well, I know Craig Bellamy holds Dale in the highest regard in terms of his preparation. He probably feels he's never seen anyone prepare as good as Dale. We used to go to training and get out to the training field, and everyone's putting their boots on, and as soon as Dale would walk onto the field, he would just sprint to the other side and sprint back. And that was a tradition. Or
yeah, it became a bit of a routine. And someone asked me the other day about the...
Is that the OCD?
I think it was because it became a habit and it became a routine, so I just sort of had to do it. But I probably couldn't do it at the back end of my career because I tore my calf about 5 times.
There he goes. Well, there was actually a bit of vision there. You just putting your mouth guard in. That just sort of triggered my memory.
There it is.
You didn't wear your mouth guard all the time, but when you put your mouth guard in, look out.
That was a vicious rumour started by Tim Glasby. I think it was like whenever he's got his mouth guard, he's going for a big hit.
Oh, so when you take it out,
I reckon I wore my mouth guard about 20% of the game.
Where would you put it?
I just chuck it in my sock.
Fair enough.
I just felt like I'd get... I don't know, I just felt uncomfortable.
I never wore a mouth guard. I never wore a mouth guard one game.
Yeah. No, I just felt...
I couldn't talk.
Uncomfortable with it. But yeah, in terms of the run out, actually, a lot of people have probably asked about that this week in terms of why did I do it, and it was purely because you know what it's like when you go into the sheds after warm-up, you're sort of sitting there for 5-6 minutes doing nothing. It was more or less just about getting back into the, we're going to be kicking off or you're going to have a carry, and sort of been sitting stagnant for a little while. So it was purely to get me my GPS high-speed meters up.
The quickest run the whole...
Yeah.
You played,
Mate, I've since spoken to the GPS lady, Jess, at the Sharks, and those are actually my quickest movements.
You played Origin under Freddie, and you were amazing there. Tell us about your experience, everything you experienced playing for New South Wales.
Yeah, I loved it. It was probably, it's interesting, 2019 was obviously the year that I got to play my debut, and, prior to that, I'd obviously would have loved to have been involved, but I feel like 2019 was the year that I probably relaxed the most and just thought, if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. And it really showed, I think, with my footy that year. It was probably, 2019 was probably one of the best years, I think, for me personally as a player. And, you know, Freddie, you'll attest to this as well, the game that we played, game 3, where Teddy scored that try, it's nothing like I'd ever experienced before. We'd obviously had success at Melbourne, you know, but it was always sort of, the crowd was always a 50-50 or a Sydney dominant side, whereas going to play at ANZ Stadium where it's completely packed, Blatchies Blues, Teddy scores in the corner in front of all the Blatchies Blues and everyone erupts. It was quite a surreal feeling.
Who are some of the players that you learned some things off during Origin camp?
Oh, I think Boyd Cordner, was one, obviously. I think just the demeanour and the way that he addressed the group, and he was so passionate about everything that he spoke about. And, you know, there was probably so many senior players from, you know, different sides. You know, Nathan Cleary's there, Teddy as well. I think just picking up little bits from everyone's, you know, leadership traits and trying to sort of bring that back to my club and help develop myself.
Now, you've got 2 passions in your life. You've got footy, which has been there from the start, but also music. When did music start becoming a thing, and who do you love listening to and emulating your music off?
Yeah, so I've been playing, you know, since primary school. Dad he taught us to play guitar at a young age, and we had to play at in primary school, and it was either the guitar or the recorder. So I was never going to pick up the recorder to annoy everyone in the house. But I just kind of stuck with it throughout high school and, you know, later into life as well. And more so just because it's a good hobby to get away from footy. But, yeah, in terms of, you know, people who I enjoy, like Ed Sheeran, I'm a massive Ed Sheeran fan, and an Irish fellow, Dermot Kennedy, who I saw recently at the Opry House. But just all the acoustic sort of stuff I really enjoy. A bit of the country as well, Bill. I know you get around it.
Yeah. You're from the South Coast, down Bega. Will you move back there eventually?
Eventually we'll get back there, and, you know, we'll obviously stick around in Sydney for the next couple of years, as we're going to anyway. But, you know, my wife's from home as well, and I really enjoyed the upbringing that we had in terms of the sort of small country town, and I just felt like it felt really safe, and I really want that for my kids as well. So, you know, I'm not sure how long we'll stick around up here, you know, at the Sharks and, you know, in the NRL, but in the next few years, I'd say we'll get back at some point. Well,
you spoke about the Sharks. Last couple of years, you've gone out in straight sets in the semi-finals. What's got to change to get to the grand final?
I just think being consistent. You know, it's a bit of a cliche, but I think we've really improved. Obviously, outside of the Tigers game that we played in round 3, which, you know, a bit of a disappointing game for us, but we've been relatively consistent since then. You know, our defence has improved quite a bit, I would say, as well. So, you know, I don't think anyone has won a competition in the last decade, you know, maybe outside of the Cowboys, that wasn't a top 4 defensive team. So, obviously, every team would aspire to do that, and we're no different.
Have you changed much? It's only been a week, but have you felt change?
I've actually felt a lot more relaxed, to be honest, and, you know, preparation obviously starts at home with, you know, washing the...
Preparation starts at home.
Yeah, like,
Quite unquote.
in terms
Whispers are deafening.
yeah. Mate, but like my wife would attest to it in terms of, you know, getting it straight home, washing the clothes, making sure everything's set up for the next day, you know, meal times, eating when I'm eating food, like those sorts of things. I actually had a moment the other day where I said to Maddie, I need to eat, and she's like, because I like to stay at a certain weight. And she's like, you don't actually have to do that anymore. And I was like, I don't actually have to, but I'd like to. I'd like to. Yeah. But yeah, as I said, I feel like it's a personality thing in terms of being regimented, and I don't think that that'll change. But in terms of going in, because I did go in and train with the club the other day, I just felt more relaxed. I think just because there was no pressure on me to perform, and I just felt like it really helped.
You know, about 6 months with Joey, I reckon that just might adjust your lifestyle.
I don't think your wife Maddie would like it. Are you worried about this competitive monster inside of you is not going to be challenged every day?
Oh, I think I'm going to find things that will challenge me, whether it's, you know,
Surfing?
So like I'm rubbish at it, but I enjoy it. But I'll find things like Paul Gallen comes into our club and, you know, he's always doing something, whether it's, you know, doing the sand dunes or coming in and doing weights or jumping in with wrestle with the boys. There's always different ways to challenge yourself, and, you know, I've got a number of people I can speak to around that as well. I'm good friends with James Graham. He's recently retired. You he's obviously a bit of a runner now as well. He's obviously trained to do half marathons and things like that. So I don't know whether my calves would hold up for a marathon, but I'll be definitely finding some ways to challenge myself.
One little phrase that every player tries to get to is be the player that your teammates want to play alongside. And I listened to Nico Hines voice his opinion of you post your announcement. Yeah, you were that player for him. How does it make you feel when you hear that?
Yeah, it's very humbling to hear, so many players that I've played with in the past and coaches and, players that I hadn't sort of played with that had sort of played against, had sent me a number of messages throughout the week, and it is really humbling to know that you've had an impact on other players, and to hear that from Nico as well, the type of player that he is, and everyone knows publicly what type of person he is as well. To hear that makes me feel really special.
Well, thanks for your time. Thanks for coming in. Good luck with the retirement. And I got to say, I think everyone who's played with you or against you would really respect you from the player and the person you are. So thanks a lot.
Thank you, Joe. Appreciate it.
Stay with us after the break. No more Turn It Up. The Sunday Footy Show. Champion player. I think the word champion gets used too much these days, but an absolute champion player, Brad Clyde. Thanks for coming.
Thanks, Joey. I don't know about that, but
I don't think Clyde gets the accolades he probably deserves. What do you think, Fred?
Is that because, do you think maybe, because you sort of got out of football, didn't you? Like, you haven't been involved in footy in, the last 10 years?
No, that's right.
Yeah,
Yes,
like
yeah.
it's on the same, through the period, for a lot of people, the end of the 80s, the 90s, and then the start of the 2000s, there was a big change in the game. And Clyde, you actually had the biggest say, I think, in the way it was changed, because I think you showed everyone what was possible, and Billy might talk about anything in a cello later, but you sort of taught everyone that, you know what, you can actually defend, get back, have a run, and then support. Like, you can actually be involved.
Well, you changed the position.
In every
you changed
part
the
of
way
game. Well,
forwards play.
You definitely changed the way locks play, but I think you changed the way I think coaches thought about what a player could actually get into a game. And
Standards of the game.
it was pretty incredible.
Yeah, the game was in transition from essentially a less professional pub sport into something more professional. And I was thankful that I'd been coached by Wayne Bennett for that year. He was down in Canberra, taught me a great deal. But Tim Sheens gave me a rein to just rove the field. And so I was really lucky to get that. He wanted me to be at the breakdown every time there was an opportunity. He saw that as an opportunity for me to be involved.
What did you like more, the professional or the pub sport? Because the pub sport was pretty fun by the sounds of things.
Yeah, and for a young guy coming into a club that had so many champions, played. I started in '88. They played in the grand final and lost in '87. The expectations were pretty high. There was some big characters. Peter Jackson was enormous and fantastic person, as well as I learned a lot from him about driving a healthy culture. Mal, Gary Belcher, Steve Walters, Dean Lance, they were all players that I was learning from. And so the transition, we were working at during the day and then training at night.
What were you doing?
I was landscaping at the time. I was straight out of school doing some landscaping. Yes.
Incredible, very
I
incredible.
I was laying pavers essentially and planting some plants, but and really loved it. And I felt that just the balance of doing both, not just being one-dimensional in just football. That first 7 years I really enjoyed compared to the fully professional. I was lucky to do half and half, and that fully professional period was wonderful, and I always wanted to do that, but I probably preferred the other.
Super League, you didn't like the bank balance. That was. What about the '89 grand final? Without doubt, for me, the greatest grand final ever. Tell us about the '89 grand final.
Well, it was an incredible day. We weren't meant to be there, let alone contest with Balmain. It was chock full of champions with the Balmain team. We had to win 10 straight to just be there and to win the grand final. So, and a lot of those games.
How old were you here?
I was 19.
19.
Yeah. And just, it was a magic carpet ride for me. I picked up the Clive Churchill medal and playing alongside all these guys that I was getting my footy card signed by them only 12 months before, it was a good time.
What about those guys that were in your team, that Ricky Stewart, Laurie Daly, Mel Meninga? Does one stand above them all?
I always found that Ricky and Laurie, for me, I had the luxury of playing a lot of my footy with those guys. They were the best for me, and for different reasons. Laurie could turn a game on its head. His ability to read a game was fantastic. Where Sticky, he would narrate the whole game, and so he was a director of our team, and what that
R-rated.
The quality and what that brings to a team is enormous, so. Two different styles of players, but both champions.
During that period also, we played an Origin team in that early 90s. What are your memories from
What was that, 92,
93, 94?
Well, Gus was the coach and he was hugely influential, super intense when you go into camp, and I loved that time.
See this try here, like I remember this try from training. Can you tell us about this try?
Well, we trained all week for that try. It was the first time that anything so rehearsed actually come off in a game. I don't think any of those rehearsed moves worked. Where that one did, we caught Mel on the hop, and I was managed to get around him. There's not too many players that can say that, so I put that on my CV.
Because I remember Gus said, and when you score this in the game, you've got to get up and slam it down.
Yeah, I was pretty happy. I did that instinctively anyway. I was. It set us up. During that period, we'd come off being beaten so often by Queensland because it was such a dominant team. But this was a start of something, and a lot of players were making a name for themselves, and it was a good time to be a part of the Blues.
I think people don't realise you were involved with the horse riding, Wayne Pearce, where Robbie Kearns, but
That's
you
right.
actually fell off also.
Yeah, that's right. I was out for 8 weeks. I missed the whole Origin series in '99. I was my first year at the Bulldogs, really enjoying my footy, but fell off a horse.
Did you get caught in the stirrups and it dragged you?
Yeah.
Is that what you?
It was, that's right. I was dragged along for.
Did you get back on the horse? Have you been back on one since?
I have reluctantly, only because I've got daughters, and we went on a bit of a tour, but it took a bit of doing. I'm not a fan, put it that way.
Mate, you didn't look very natural, because I remember. So what had happened was we come into a group, and then what they don't do is they don't put like fast horses with horses that want to walk. So they'd say, you go that way. Wait until Clyde and his gang went, where they just walked. And then for Terry and me and a few other lunatics, they said, just wait until they go and take off. But Terry took off. So anyway, all their other horses tried to take off.
Trail horses.
That's right, yeah.
All the other horses tried to take off. And I just remember Clyde just going, literally had no rhythm and just went bang straight off the side.
Oh, yeah. I was last out from lunch, and so consequently I got the oldest nag called Apples, and Apples still managed to buck me.
I was behind Jason Stevens, and Jason Stevens was on this horse. And because Steve-O was so heavy, the horse farted in my face the whole way. I don't know if it was Steve-O or the horse.
Or a combination of both.
What about when you mentioned the Bulldogs? You finished your career at the Bulldogs, but then you went into the administration side of things. How was that?
I really enjoyed it. Plenty to learn in such a short space of time. I had some leaders. Turvey was there, Bobby Hagan as CEOs. I learnt from those. And then Malcolm Node came in and was fantastic to learn from, given his News Limited background. There was some big personalities of the players that were there. There was Mace, Sonny Bill was there, Marco Mealy, Rennie Matua.
Jonathan would have been there too at that time.
Jonathan Thurston just started, and
so you were there in 2003 when they won the grand final, and the bench was Jonathan Thurston, Sonny Bill Williams, Roy Asatasi, and Rennie Matua.
It was a fair bench.
Not a bad team.
Oh, very much so. Yes. It was chock full of some stars, and we were highly motivated that season. It was, it was an interesting time for the Dogs, and a different culture to the Raiders, where Steve Folkes really sort of concentrated on sort of working for each other and really training hard. We had
Billy Johnson.
Billy Johnson was our trainer. He'd
Uncompromising.
prepared a team really well, very different to what I'd come from, and so physically you were ultimately prepared. I learned a lot when I was at the Bulldogs, very different from the Raiders culture.
You played lock forward. Is there any number 13s you enjoy watching at the moment?
I enjoy Cameron Murray, watching him play. He's involved in the play, his work rate, but it's quality as well. You know, when he takes the ball up, he's not just another hit. Isaac Yeo, I think, does a wonderful job week in and week out for his team. The positional play can vary from team to team. I think every player on the field should be working on their ball playing and being able to either tip on or creates half a gap for their teammates. Both of those players do it well.
You talk about 13s and how that's the position most probably that changes so much between teams and has changed so much over time.
Yeah.
Like, where did you defend? Any 13 now, they're dead in the middle. Where would you have defended in your time?
I was just on the fringe outside of the second row.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. And to start with, myself and Laurie used to split.
Because the halfback would sit behind a lot of the time.
That's right.
Second
Sticky loved that.
Just sledging people.
Yeah. We had a deal. I'd do his tackling and he'd tell me what to do, and he did that really well.
Well, you've gone into the Corban. Firstly, why didn't you stay in rugby league? You know, a lot of the high-profile players go into the media like we did, or they go into coaching, or they go into administration. How come after the Bulldogs you left and went into the corporate world?
A number of things. Some personal reasons. I had to look after my kids on the weekends, I was studying at the time. I did an MBA right at the end of my tenure at the Dogs, and so I wanted to use that knowledge, and so I stepped into the corporate world from 2008.
And what are you doing now?
Executive recruitment. So I'm dealing with. I lead in the industrial practice in a executive search firm, and I work with the ASX 300 to find their leaders, and it's no different to.
Where would John's suit? Give us. Where's the organisation where Joey would fit in as a CEO?
No doubt the top echelon of one of the top mining companies, given his background in Nova Castrian. Slipped straight in there at Whitehaven Coal, for instance.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That'd be really good. What about the qualities or the traits that made you a champion player? What have you taken from that into the corporate world?
I think it's just the discipline. I pretty much the whole skill set you can transfer across, but I think firstly the discipline. I think being honest to yourself every day. I think if you can wake up and really try to be your best every day. You know, it's not always achievable, but and setting yourself goals, trying to achieve those goals, whether they're financial targets or personal targets or whatever they are. I think it's a good start to trying to transfer those skills across to something that is very different away from rugby league, but the same.
What about your former team, the Canberra Raiders? Obviously, you know, you've got a whole heap of injuries at the moment, but to see them come back against the Manly Sea Eagles on the weekend, as a former player, to show that sort of character, what does it mean to you?
It meant everything. You know, those sort of wins you can build a season from. I was really happy to see them start the year so well. They were up on the top four for some time in the first month, and I don't see, there's no reason why they shouldn't be competing week in and week out. I think they've proven over the last number of years that they can beat the top teams. It's the games that they're expected to win, and that means turning up every week. And injuries certainly have an impact on all the teams, but I think if you can have a really healthy culture and where you can roll anyone into the team, whether it be 2 or 3 weeks on a short-term basis, it shouldn't impact the performance of the team.
What do you think of the game today?
I love watching the game. I love some of the athleticism, watching you guys play. amazing week in and week out. You see things that you haven't seen before. For me, that really excites me. Even some of the rule changes, not all of them. I love the corner post where the wing is athleticism and acrobatics. I think there's a piece of the former game that could be applied more for the current game is that I think there's an element of individualism in our current game where team was absolute paramount previously. And when I say team, when I come into the Raiders, it was above God, it was above family, it was above all your friends. You had to invest in the team, and the team and club invested in you as well. So it was a win-win. And that, I think that bond of team can be the difference between winning and losing, even today.
Well, who's got to manage that? Is that the coach, the senior players, the CEO? Who has to manage the individuals to say, hey, you're not bigger than the club, get in the team?
Yeah, and we all know that the coach is hugely influential in any club, and so he has to be of character to be able to drive all that. Unfortunately, I look at the player agents probably have far too much influence off the field. And I think they don't put enough back into the game. It's all take from their perspective.
Now, you get to see your old team. You have the 94 reunion and you're having that up in Magic Round. So firstly, who are you excited to see?
Yeah.
And
Mullins.
who are you going to be avoiding? Who's the one you're going to be hiding from?
You've got Tootsie and Mullows who always led from the front. Fantastic leaders on and off the field. But Steve Walters, I know he's looking forward to being up there in Brisbane in his own backyard. Normally he has to come down to Canberra for any of those events, and he's going to play host. I think he's going to blow the horn before the game for the Raiders clap, and it should be a good weekend.
What about a player who's just revered in the game, Mal Meninga? Tell us about what he was like as a captain.
Well, he would just set expectations. You guys have been influenced by him enormously. His expectations there was nothing less than winning, but he with those expectations he would show you how to win football games So it wasn't just him. There was the players around him. I mentioned Peter Jackson, but Gary Belcher was a really good deputy to Mal. And they provided a lot of character building for the guys like Lazo, myself, Sticky, Laurie, who were just young guys coming through, to learn from those guys. But Mal was ultimately the leader and led through performance, but also, as we know, it's not just on the field that you've got to perform. It's off the field as well, being a good person and everything's got to be completely focused about winning football games.
He's just got this aura about him, hasn't he? Like he doesn't have to say a lot. I was actually involved at an Origin game. I was actually injured and I was up in the box and we went down to half time. And he never said a word the whole half-time to the group. I was waiting for him to address the team. But he felt that he didn't need to say anything, so he didn't have to talk to justify his position. He was comfortable with where the team was at.
He just stood there? He
just stood there. And, Cameron Smith was talking and everything was said and we went back up to the box and sometimes it's actually saying less is just as impactful.
He's been around footy for such a long time that in those instances he sort of knows what motivates players at that level, and if they're not performing, and sometimes the lesser said is more impactful.
Well, Clyde, thanks for your time. Kids at home, if you haven't watched Bradley Clyde play, go and have a look on YouTube and you'll see what a champion is. So stay with us after the break for more of the Sunday Footy Show. But thanks, Clyde.
Series, the first time is going to be 3 games. We've got some wonderful guests, Ruan Sims.
Thanks, Freddie.
And, of course, Corban Baxter. How appropriate on Mother's Day. Your story is so appropriate to this day and about women playing rugby league, obviously being a mother. Firstly, how was it this morning? You've got 2 children, Bodie and Carter. How was that this morning?
Yeah, it was really special. They came in and surprised me for a little brekkie in camp, and yeah, it was really nice to see them. I haven't been, away from the little one for this amount of time for a long time. So yeah, it was really nice for them to come in before we head off next week.
Now, your story, you were born in Auckland and you moved over to the Shire. Can you tell us about, do you go back to Auckland much? Do you have, family still there?
Yeah, well, all my immediate family's here in Sydney, which is nice, but I have lots of family back home and probably don't go back enough, mainly have been back over the years for football, but yeah, I love it back home, and when I get the opportunity, I really love going back there.
Have you always played rugby league? Because it would have been challenging coming through in your early days. There wouldn't have been any rugby league specifically for girls back then?
Yeah, no, I grew up playing every other sport. I started playing rugby league a bit later in my life when I was about 20 years old, so last 10 years, yes, played rugby league, but yeah, it was netball, touch, tag, sort of growing up.
4 days to go. There's only 4 days to go. I was just thinking, like, the first state of origin for the women's is on Thursday. When do you head up, and how's the preparation been?
Prep's been really good. We've had a solid 7-week program with the girls, and we've never had that previous years. So the fact that we've been able to get together as a squad and get some preparation's been awesome. And now we've got our team this camp. We've been in camp for 3 days now, a few more days in camp, and a few more things to tick off before we get onto the plane and head up to Brizzy.
Now, you actually played for New South Wales in 2015, so that's 9 years ago. What was that experience like? You'd only been playing the game. You pretty much started at the beginning of the year, played for New South Wales midway through the year, and then Australia at the end of the year. How was that whole experience?
Yeah, it was pretty crazy. I played my first year and then was pretty much in the mix for some representative footy, and the game was very different back then, and I just took that opportunity and ran with it, and it's been the best. I've absolutely loved it. Have played, this will be my 8th Origin or Interstate Challenge / Origin, and I love the opportunities that it's given me, just getting to know the girls, and we've got a lot of the girls that I debuted with I'm still playing with now, so it's pretty special.
Yeah, speaking of the girls that you actually play alongside, it's a real mate versus mate, state versus state this year, with you obviously taking on, year 5-8 for Queensland.
Yeah, definitely. Taryn's an absolute gun. We know that she's one of the biggest threats out on the field there, and I was lucky enough to play with her last year in the NRLW. Love playing alongside her, and it's that feeling that we play with a lot of these girls in all different teams. So when it gets to Origin, you sort of got to put that aside and find a little bit of mongrel and get angry at each other.
Well, we've got a couple of them here actually. Got a couple of special guests. Romy Teitzel and very own Taryn Aiken. What did you think of that, Taryn? Did you hear that about the mongrel thing? I'm not sure that was aimed towards you specifically.
I heard bits and pieces of it.
What's it like coming up against Corban? You play with her for the Roosters. What's it going to be like?
Yeah, it's obviously going to be a little bit different this year round, considering I'm more teammates with them now in NRLW. But yeah, it's really exciting. It's really good to see Corbs back in the Blues jersey. But yeah, I hope she goes well, but not too well, obviously.
Now, Taryn, Romy, we heard your captain earlier this morning on the Today Show saying that you guys are the underdogs. Is that the general feel throughout the team, or...?
Oh, I think just over the last few years, we've had a bit of rotation through the Queensland team. I only debuted last year, but I've been a part of the squad for the last 3 years, and just to see the drive that everyone has and the passion around Queensland, I think no matter who steps up, whether we have that status or not, everyone's going out there to play for the same reason.
Looks like you've just had a session there, girls. How's preparation going?
We thought we looked good.
No, it's been really good. It's been raining up here, so a bit of wet weather footy, but it's been good. We're training really well.
What would it be like, do you think, playing at Suncorp at State of Origin?
Hopefully everything it's made out to be. Hopefully that bus drive down Caxton Street, the Queensland fans, I know they're going to turn up at Suncorp, whether it's raining or not. Leading into Magic Round, I think it's so exciting, not only for Brisbane and Queensland, but for us to have the opportunity to play at Suncorp before the Magic Round and having so many people in Brizzy. Hopefully, big crowd, passionate Queensland supporters, and to play at Suncorp for a State of Origin, I think is pretty special in itself.
Taryn, I thought I'd give you the opportunity for a square up. Have you got a message for the 5'8" of the New South Wales team, Corban?
no message here.
Are you playing left or right, Corby?
Yeah, left or right side.
Left or right, Corby?
Left or right? They're asking left or right. The girls haven't got earpieces in.
Ruan's here. You can ask Ruan. She's the assistant coach. She might be able to tell you.
No, we're good.
How have they been training, Ru? Is it raining down there?
Yeah, it has been
Wet
raining.
footy, or?
Yeah, it's been raining down here, so I was actually really hoping it was going to be dry up there so we could see you guys really open up.
Perfect.
Oh, the mind games. The
Ah,
mind
yeah.
games.
Well, this
Awesome.
sounds
Hopefully
like
the sun's shining
State of
Thursday.
Origin. Having the girls warm to State of Origin.
Yeah.
Anyway, well, we're going to let you go, girls. Fantastic. Thanks for coming on board. And, Corbs, I'll give you the last word.
Oh. Will you see me on the left or the right?
Oh, playing favourites. It's all
There
right.
you go. Continue the mind games. All right. Good
All the
luck
best,
on
girls.
Thursday.
All the best.
Yeah, represent well.
Any
Thanks,
words
guys.
of advice, Billy? Just let us know. Feed them into Queensland camp.
No worries. I'll let you know. They're listening at the moment, so we'll just be tight-lipped.
There's a lot of talk about the team from New South Wales this year.
Yep.
No Jessie Southwell, Rachel Pearson. Can you tell us about the combination with her?
Yeah, it's been really nice in camp with Rach. She's a very level-headed halfback. She's got experience in the Blues, and you know, she didn't get to play a lot of NRLW last year with some niggles and whatnot, but you know, she's coming back. She's looking really good in training, and you know, her kicking game is phenomenal. And I love playing with a really calm, level-headed halfback, and it allows me to sort of play to my strengths, which I think is sort of that running game. I know I haven't played a lot of 5'8" in the last couple of years. I'm more a fullback, but have sort of played a bit of a ball-playing fullback role with Coach Strange, and so I've sort of been able to, you know, be able to work with my edges and have that ball-playing role too. But Rach has just been, yeah, a really calm presence for me to do what I can do as well.
Yeah, Corby, you were. People might sort of think it's a bit strange that you're playing 5'8", but you're not a stranger to it. You've played 5'8" in the sky blue jersey before as well. Were you excited by this challenge?
Yeah, really excited. Over probably the last 3 or 4 years, I've really loved the challenge of playing 5'8". It sort of hasn't worked out at NRLW level, but I've been given that opportunity at Origin in the past, which has been amazing. I'm just excited to grow and to lift and take that performance to a new level as well. And yeah, just really like to have the faith of yourself and Kylie and me to be able to do that job.
Rue, you've only got the girls for 7 days. What have you focused on in those 7 days? Because you know, you can't really build a team and get everything on the park. It's just the small things, and like, what's been the most important thing to get right?
The biggest thing that we've focused on, particularly in this camp, but we've also had a 7-week sort of build up to this, which has been good as well, but it's just been connection. That connection within the team, the connection to each other, the connection to the sky blue jersey, and being, you know, that Origin feel, really getting into that mindset of it. So we've been working really, really hard on that, because when things go wrong, as you know, as both of you guys know, when things go wrong in Origin, that connection is one of the biggest things that pulls you up and gets you up and gets you going. So that's been a real focus for us as a group. And like Corban said earlier, we've sort of had 7 weeks previous to be able to do some football, to get some football into them, because Origin week, it's more just tweaking, getting little things right, and then putting it all together in the one show coming up for Thursday.
Now, the most important thing, Origin's in 4 days, but Mother's Day. Now, you played footy 4 months after having a baby. Now, what's that like? What's that like, putting yourself through that, your body, and getting to fitness and getting yourself prepared to go and play a game like Rugby League?
Yeah, it definitely came with its challenges, but I don't know, growing up, I've always loved my sport. Even after having my first son, Carter, I knew I wanted to get straight back into my touch footy and my Oz tag and whatnot. So with Bodhi, it was nothing different really. I had the mindset that I was coming back to play footy. I think it's something that I thrive on, having something to come back to and get back to what I'm really passionate about, and being healthy and getting back on the field. And I'm really lucky. I have great support around me. My husband, Matt, and my parents are there so that I could go and get those runs in, you know, a few a few months after having little man. So I just had that drive to get back and do what I love and with the people that I love.
Is it more motivating now that you've got a family, and does it help with the balance of being an elite athlete now?
It does. It is really motivating, and that balance has always been a bit of a juggle, but it's really great because away from footy, we're people, and I'm a mum, and I love that I have that away from my football. And you come back from a baby and you almost feel stronger. You've been through a lot, and your body's been through a lot, and you sort of know what limits you can take yourself to. So it's been really positive.
Because rugby league players pride themselves on being able to deal with pain, don't they? What's the sort of giving birth pain on a ratio? Let's call it rugby league.
Are we going there?
Yeah,
Are we going there?
We're going to go there.
This is Joey's segment.
This is out of 10. Like out of 10.
Joey.
What's the difference in pain between the giving the birth pain and then getting a hit up? Yeah, bad hit up.
It doesn't compare. You boys have got it easy.
It makes it coming back from a knee injury. Petty, isn't it? Like,
well, you did that with your shoulder. Like, what's that sort of pain like? There's...
Oh, nothing compared. Yeah, giving birth is a whole nother level for sure.
Yeah. The trade-off is way better though, isn't it?
Yeah, so worth it. Very worth it.
You had the moment where you actually captained the Roosters to a grand final. What was that like?
Yeah, that was probably the highlight of my career. To get to the grand final. I think it was the first year that we had the expansion in the NRLW, to captain the team, make the grand final, and win it. It was a huge occasion. We didn't even have the greatest of seasons. A few things went our way in the back end, and we just took that opportunity and ran with it. It was my birthday too, so it was the best day of my life.
Oh, wow.
Just watching some footage now on the screen, how important is it for you to be able to not just play your representative football, but to be able to represent your culture in the game that you love and you've given so much to?
Yeah, I love that I have that part of me that I can go and jump into as well. All-Stars Week's always really special. It's a bit more about the week leading into than the game. The game's obviously a huge occasion, but we get so much time where we can dive into our culture and just the differences. Like I don't get things out of Blues camp that I would get out of All-Stars, and it goes both ways. But there's just something about representing my Māori culture that's really, really special.
Who's the biggest danger for Queensland? Who's the one to watch out for?
I think there's a few. I think Tamika Upton, we all know what damage she can do. Yeah, she's an absolute elite player, and you can't sleep on her. She can just literally tear you to pieces.
And sneaky.
Is there a player, do you think, that could nearly compete in a men's team? Like, who's the strongest and toughest out there?
On both sides or on the Queensland side?
Oh no, anyone in the women's game. Who do you think could last the longest in a men's game?
Ooh, maybe Millie. I feel like she's a workhorse. She could just go at him. She's a big body.
You couldn't hurt her, could you?
Well, she took Sam on up there in that challenge. She looked like Sam's measure. So
yeah.
I think she let him win that one.
She could mix with them.
Now, on top of being a mother, being an NRL captain, playing State of Origin, you also got a company, CK, like a training company. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, so I run CK Athletic with my best friend Kiana Takarangi, and we just run programs for young people in our local area, but we also like to get out into Pacific Island communities. We've done a few years over in the Cook Islands, running some clinics for their youth over there, and have big plans to sort of grow that and do some work with the females over there too. So they're one of the countries that don't get much assistance, so that's something we're really passionate about. But bring it back to our community. We just absolutely love working with the young kids, getting a footy in their hand, working on their speed and agility, and they come before school, after school, and it's just a really positive community that we are absolutely in love with.
Do you have a couple of clones? Are there like 3 or 4 of you running around? you seem to fit a lot in, but
no, Kiana's amazing. She does a lot of work for CK Athletic. So when I have to run off and do footy stuff or be a mum, she's holding the fort down. So she's amazing.
Brad is also involved as well, Kiana's brother, which is really fantastic.
Yeah.
So it's a real family team.
It is, we get people that that we know and are capable and have experience in rugby league, and it's really cool that they can come on board too.
Well, thanks for coming in to turn it up. We apologise, the 8th isn't here. He sends his apologies, but there's going to be more Sunday Footy Show after this.